From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
A Montana Highway Patrol trooper turns hero after quickly jumping into action to save a life. The incredible story coming up. Football programs at the University of Montana and Montana State say neither will take part in a Big Sky Conference spring.
The vaccine really is the light at the end of the COVID-19 tunnel, but it's still a pretty long tunnel.
Important news tonight. Local health officials tell Q2 as soon as next week, COVID-19 vaccinations will move to phase 1B, but at the same time, community members will need to practice patience. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your Friday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, tonight, some good news on the local COVID-19 front. New information about the vaccine rollout for up to half of the residents here in Yellowstone County. Now, that means vaccination will move from the healthcare workers, first responders, and long-term care facilities to phase 1B, which includes all people 70 years and older, people 16 to 69 with high-risk medical conditions, American Indians, and other people of color. Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton says local hospitals and clinics have been inundated with calls from people wondering when they can be vaccinated. He says, please be patient. That communication is on the way.
So we're putting together a communication plan that will allow us early each week to notify the community how many doses are available, where they're available, and how you access them. Until such time as that vaccine supply stabilizes, it's going to differ from week to week. We do expect that vaccine supply will stabilize over time, and we'll be able to give people more advanced notice of when vaccines will be available.
Now, due to concern of COVID-19 spread and the need to monitor patients for a brief time after they are vaccinated, residents will need to sign up for appointments. Felton says the mass vaccination plan is in its final stages. While vaccine supply remains low, the plan includes Riverstone Health, St. Vincent, and Billings Clinic. Now, once there is more consistent flow of vaccine, the plan has identified several locations, for example, Metro Park, to eventually open up additional sites. But again, patience is the key word with up to 50,000 local residents in phase 1B.
The other part to remember about this is a 2-vaccine series. So we have to make sure that as we're doing these clinics, for the first few weeks of phase 1B, it's going to be different people every day. Okay. When we get into weeks 3 and 4, we're going to have people coming back for their second vaccine as well as people coming for the first. So it will just simply take time, and it's largely limited by the vaccine supply right now.
And to clarify, Felton says there is no master sign-up list to get vaccinated. Once the plan details are released next week, we will communicate those steps, and Q2, of course, will monitor the situation and have the information you need to know on air and online at ktvq.com. Well, today's COVID numbers also prove that the end is not right around the corner. The state reports 23 new deaths in the last 24 hours. 19 of those victims are from Cascade County alone, while Yellowstone and Stillwater counties each report 1 death. The state's death toll is now 1,106 with 551 new cases. Montana also climbed above 89,000 total cases today, but less than 5,000 cases are considered active. Well, some quick action by a Montana Highway Patrol trooper saves the life of a woman whose vehicle ended up in the water of the Yellowstone River. It's an incredible story. The Highway Patrol says it all began after a call of a rollover crash near Emigrant yesterday. Trooper Connor Wagner arrived on scene to find the woman unable to get out of the vehicle, which was upside down and partially submerged in the frigid river. He used a rope to tether down and make his way through the swift-moving current to the car, where he busted out the rear window and pulled her out. Now, the Highway Patrol says the woman was treated for minor injuries at the hospital in Livingston and then released. Nice work. Well, some sports news making big waves tonight as the Bobcat and Grizz came to a final verdict on a spring football season. MTN's Jack Ginsburg has the details on the decision and why.
On Friday morning, the University of Montana and Montana State University released a joint statement saying they would be opting out of the 6-game spring football season the Big Sky Conference had planned. Instead, they'll potentially be playing 2 games this spring against non-conference opponents.
It does bring some closure for us to understand exactly what spring was like. This has changed so dramatically every week, every day.
That's what the University of Montana Athletic Director Ken Haslam had to say at Friday morning's press conference following the university's decision.
We're going to look around the state of Montana, and see if what some of the other smaller conferences are doing, and see if they, would want to come here and play.
On the players' side, head coach Bobby Houck says the team just wants to get out there and see some action, but the 6-game championship series wasn't an ideal format.
But we want to compete this spring. We just don't believe playing a complete conference schedule's in the best interest of our team. Preparing to win a championship in February with no indoor facility would be difficult at best, if not impossible.
I'm not sure that Coach Houck and I agree on a lot, but we agreed on this. And we agreed that this was the right move for both of our programs and our student athletes, with keeping them at the forefront.
Well, we could expect to see a lot of changes still, including when those 2 non-conference games will be played and who they'll be played against. Reporting in Missoula, Jack Ginsburg, MTN Sports.
And you can find more on what this all means for both programs at montanasports.com. Well, a bill to compensate people who've been wrongfully convicted and imprisoned for a crime they didn't commit was approved today at the state capitol. The House Judiciary Committee unanimously endorsed House Bill 92, sending it to the full House for debate probably next week. Under the bill, those wrongfully convicted can petition a court after their exoneration to get compensation from the state. It sets payment at $60,000 for every year the person was in prison and another $25,000 for every year they were on parole or probationary supervision. One of those testifying for the bill was Cody Marble, a Missoula man who spent 14 years clearing his name on a conviction for a rape that he says never happened. He says after his exoneration in 2017, he's had to start his life from scratch and has had trouble finding and keeping a job. Representative Barry Usher of Billings says the bill is a better way to compensate those wrongly convicted instead of forcing them to bring suit against the state.
This person was wrongly convicted in a state court in the state of Montana. We held him incarcerated for however long, 10, 12, 15, 20 years. We owe them something. And for them to have to wait to sue is why we're bringing this bill, so we can get them quicker money so they can live and not have to live on the street, be homeless or whatever.
Now, right now, Marble and several other wrongfully convicted men in Montana could be eligible for claims under the bill. Well, food insecurity continues to be one of the biggest problems facing American families during the pandemic. Now, the numbers are worse on weekends with no school meals provided, which is what made the Billings Family YMCA's new Saturday program such a success in its trial run last week.
We were thinking, 30 to 40 meals to start with, and ultimately the team gave out 78 meals. That first day, I know our team was frantic trying to, whatever food we had in the building from our after-school program that for the following week.
It was great. One little boy walks out with his lunch. I've got lunch. It just gives you goosebumps to kind of really see the need and to be able to meet that need.
The Y is already providing more than 1,000 after-school meals each week around the community. With many weekend programs shut down due to COVID restrictions, the Y partnered with No Kids Hungry and Albertson's Nourishing Neighbors to start the Saturday program, which is already expanding.
We've upped that to 150 this week. We'll see how quickly that goes. We've also added in the breakfast component. So we have a 3-component breakfast as well as a 5-component dinner included in one bag per person. So anyone 18 and younger can access this program for free.
And you can pick up meals starting at 9 a.m. Saturday at both the front and back entrances to the YMCA downtown at 402 North 32nd Street. The pickups are scheduled to run until noon, but they could run out sooner, so get there early. And the Y says it will continue the program as long as its grant funding allows. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News on Q2, meet an MSUB student who is using his bilingual ability to help promote the importance of literacy and volunteering. Plus, later in sports, a former high-flying Falcon has a career night on the national stage. We'll hear from him.
We lost a lot of the wind today. We started off at 21, ended up at 41. By the time we start looking into next weekend, that could seem really warm. Details coming up.